Okay, so she mentioned the time, and I was really weirded out because at that time I was asleep, and I started being really, really worried about everything that is going on. So yeah, reasonable explanation for it. I don't have one. I really do not have one. So yeah, if you have any, please feel free to say so. But I do not have any reasonable explanation for this. So what happened after that? As I was saying before, we went to the walks as usually, and I started hearing those branches breaking again because if I mentioned, we live like at the end of the village, and like we have kinda like forest this side. Like it's not the forest, but it is a place where you have a lot of trees, but it is not a big to be like called forest or anything. So I was like, do you hear that? And she said like, what? She was really weirded out, and just mind you, she is in her like 60s, so that is just that is just really scary for her. So she was like, what? And I was just standing there and looking at her like, am I just like really stupid, or am I imagining stuff or something? And like I asked her, do you hear that branching? And she said like, no. And we went home and just put it aside. It is kind of questionable like what is happening, but we can explain it, and let's just put it aside. And we went to work like every day, but about like 5 maybe days later, or maybe let's put it better way, a week later, what happened is we went to the walks, and she heard whatever, but I didn't. And then again, I was kind of again worried because I do not have an explanation for all of these. But again, it is something that I couldn't hear, but she was able to. So again, we went back home and sit down and looked at each other and tried to explain to each other, but we weren't able to. And then we talked to Dad, and of course, as he's skeptic, he always tried to find a reasonable explanation, and he said like, we are imagining it, which is understandable. But after all of that, I purchased the app that I saw the paranormal users or paranormal ghost hunters are using, and it is called Spirit Talker. I have purchased it, and I was like, yeah, look, if I need to spend my money, I will just spend it. And I started to talk to Dad something. Also, if you want me to post pictures of this because I have a lot of them, I can do another video. So just tell me. Um, because this video would be like 2 hours long, so I don't want to do such a thing. So I started talking to that on, was it on English or my native language? I'm not really sure. And I know that if you let them talk, the words will pop up, and that like AI voice, maybe, I'm not really sure, will start saying words. And I was like, okay, sure thing. And it started saying, and first word pop up, and I was really sweating. I was really like scared and all together. And when the word pop up, I was so scared. I just immediately stopped it. I immediately stopped it, and I was scared. I just didn't know what to do. And I went to my mom and talked to her, and she came in my room, and we talked about everything, and I let it go. I let those words go, and what would be what it would be, you know. And then started saying some words that were really, really weird, because those words that it said were really personal. Uh, of course, I'm not that old, so I didn't know much about those stuff, but everything that it was saying, it said something that my parents were able to know, especially my dad, because my mom moved in here with my dad. My dad lived here before, so he knew about those stuff. Again, really questionable, because you cannot really search it online, because we're not like someone famous, you know, and all together. So I was kind of like, how could someone know? Because if the app is like fake or something, there would be a reason how someone know that. But of course, we never talked about those stuff in between us, so you cannot also hear us. As well, we don't have any cameras in like room or anything, so I still do not understand how it is going and happening, and how would something know. So that's also the reason I believe in paranormal. So everything is explained. Um, as well, when you go at the end of the village, like when we went in the walks, we talked, and you have like left turn, a straight one, and you have the right one, and we mostly went to the right. But this time when we went, we there were few people there on the right, because there is also a graveyard, or do you call it cemetery? I'm not really sure. I will call it graveyard because it's easier, but if I'm wrong you can tell me. um and we went there, but there were a few people. So like, I told her like, let's go to the left side until they would go, because I just don't wanna go in between people, and that all was okay with her. So we went to the left, and we heard again those like branches breaking, and I was really weirded out, and like, can you hear it? And she said yes, and we started being like really worried, because it's not night, it's not like 3 a.m., so you can call it like, yeah, it's that. No, it's not. And so we turned around, and those people left, and we went there to the right. And the thing that made me understand it's not human, because what happened is it went from one forest to another across the road within a few milliseconds, and it was able to switch sides from right across the street again to the right, and then it was able to transform or teleport or anything to the left side, which I was also looking each time, and I have never ever seen anything. And how we were walking further and further, there are always some kind of bushes, and always the same noise. I could not explain it, but I always just try to think like, you're just imagining it. And I always talk to my mom like, can you hear it? Can you hear it? And she always said yes, yes, she can. And that is something weird about. And then I talked to this app at 3 a.m. in my room, and I asked it, do you know something about something that is happening when we go into the walks? Do you know something that that is going on. And there is that thing that really happened that really made me question everything. It said, "We are hiding in the forest." And that is something where I was really starting to shake, and I was really starting to be nervous and really starting to be worried, because it really makes sense. It is always going from forest to forest. But why is it always following? And I could not explain it. And then what happened is mom and I, after some period of time, went back, and we were going home from just walks. And what happened then is that, and what happened then is that she was a bit behind me, so I just stood there and just waited for her. So I was like, "Are you coming?" And she said like, "Yeah." And I just stood there and I was waiting for her, and all of a sudden I heard some kind of footsteps next to me. The thing is that those footsteps could not be explained. So they started being just so little. Uh, I don't really, I don't really know how to explain. Maybe like, like a little kid when they start walking, how they are just not really loud, and also it's kind of a bit quiet. So it felt like they were coming towards me, but they were like so slow and so quiet, and all of a sudden they started feeling like they sounded like they started running, and they felt like they were bigger and much faster, and I started yelling, and I started um like, mom, and all of that. And she started like being really worried, and she started asking like, what happened, like, and all of that. And I just said like, I heard the footsteps. I just heard them. And I was so scared I nearly started crying. And the thing is, for me, it's really hard to get scared. And this is probably the first time in my life I was so scared. And then I asked her, like, did you hear them? And she said, no. Mind you, it could not be her because she was, like, enough far away from me. So it cannot be her. And I was really scared. What happened after that is I was like, about like 2 days after that, I was in my room, so I closed my door, turned off my TV, turned off my lights. Only light was from my phone, and that was just, I just put it on like a bit darker, so it has no light. And I was in my room, and I started talking to that spirit, or however you wanna call it. And I started talking to it, and what happened, it really shaked me, and I'm still scared to this day. The thing that happened is I just sat down in my bed, and what I saw on my leg, it was some kind of it was some kind of purple, maybe, like, as you can see right here, if you are watching, like some kind of this, as if you can see the arrow, some kind of that color, it was on my leg. The thing is, it cannot be from my TV. I took my phone in my hand, and I tried to reflect it. Maybe it was from my TV, the light where you have like a little light on TV. Someone has white, someone has red. So I tried to reflect it to my phone and then point it out on my leg. It wasn't that. I tried, maybe it was from outside, even though I have I don't know how you call it, but I have a thing on my window, so it cannot be from outside, but I still did it. it ain't. So I tried to point it out in each corner of my room to point it out. Maybe it's something from a corner that I cannot see, or maybe from my door. Guess what? All of those were negative. By the judging by the angle, it was kind of hidden somewhere, and it kind of where it was from the roof. And I tried thinking maybe someone put camera in the house or something, but there was nothing. And you cannot explain because it seems like it was facing through something. So I would just put it aside, like it's understandable and everything. What happened after that, as I said, it is scaring me still until now. What happened is I've heard, I think it was a female voice. It said like it was something like whispering or something similar to that. It said like I'm next to you or something similar to that. I'm standing next to you, or I do not really remember. As well, if you ask a question why I don't have my parents here, is because they know literally zero English. So that's why they are not here. The thing what happened is I talked to my mom and she was again really worried. But I never talked about her that much about this because I never wanted her to be worried, to feel like she should be worried or something. And what happened is as well, after some, I'm just gonna skip some periods. So after some times, I went again back to all of these, and again I was in my room and I heard the same voice again, and it said like I'm next to you, or it's kind of questionable. It is kind of questionable because I cannot explain it. It was kind of faint voice, but it was all I'm sure that I've heard was I am something. That's what I was able to hear, and then I just tried to put it like in my head, like I am blah blah blah, something like that, and that is the only one I could hear. And what happened is I've just jumped out of my bed and I just went straight for the light and just I looked around. There is literally nobody in my room, but I've heard it. It was literally next to my bed, literally. Now also, if you ask a question, maybe someone died in the home or something. No, nobody, because this is newly built home. It was built in 1990s, and my dad, literally my dad, had built this house, so it is not like really old. Neither was ever abandoned or anything, so you cannot say the spirit just came here. Also, it was not built on a cemetery, or it was not built on some old house. Actually, I think it might have been. I think I asked my dad and he said, I I will have to ask him again. Um, the thing what happened then is I was really scared and I just didn't know what to do. And yeah, uh, all of things happening to my mom in her room, then this, then all of the stuff that were disappearing or on the other parts of the room or house or anything. It was kind of really odd and really weird. What then started happening is my my light in the room started flickering. It wasn't really flickering like when it turned on and off and on and off. What happened is it was really flickering real quick, so it started being from really like strong light. Then it started being like really like literally like zero power and altogether. It is explainable that it was just bad light bulb. Is it called like that? I think so. it is explainable. But what happened is my dad put another one. It happened the same. He put the another one. It happened the same. And then he put the fourth one, and literally it is here for, I would dare to say, like 2 months, and nothing is happening to it. So again, it is unexplainable. It is explainable, but again, it kind of raises an eyebrow because it says in the app that apparently can talk to spirit. It has said that I'm gonna play with the lights, which kind of makes sense why all of this was happening. So yeah, and all of this together is really weirded out, and the more I talk to this apparent thing, uh, it started more um, saying negative stuff, that the demon is here, and all together it's like, do I need to say how bad it is? Especially in some religious home. We are not like all really religious, but we are like religious. Like we are not really religious, but we are religious, if that makes any sense to you. And I never went to something like paranormal, so I would go and haunt something like paranormal or anything, so it doesn't really make sense and doesn't really add up all together. But there was also one thing I wanted to say, but I just cannot remember it. Um, yeah, I guess yeah, I remember it. It told me like, do not look under, and in the app, of course. And I asked like, under, like, what do you mean? Can you be more specific or something? And it said like, don't look under the bed. I was like really weirded out. You know how you have like those stories when you are little, like, do not look under the bed, something will catch you, all of that. So I was kind of skeptic, like, maybe you're just joking around with me, you know, maybe someone is watching, playing with me and all together. And but like, okay, look, maybe there is something that wanted to warn me, sorry, about all of these, so like we can put it like that. And I just respected it. I told my mom as well, my dad, like, just don't look under my bed, and they just agreed on that. So nobody looked under the bed, and I talked to it again the next day. What is the thing is, I didn't really talk to that spirit, I would call it, that much, because it was really draining. Not like I have anything against that, but whenever I would talk to it, like, I would feel really drained, like it drained all of my energy and all together. So I would just not talk that much, maybe once a week or every 2 days or something, depends on how much stuff were like messed up and all together. So I talked to her again, and it said don't look under the bed. And you know how people say curiosity killed the cat and all that. I looked under the bed, and I couldn't see anything. Like literally just normal thing under the bed. And all of a sudden I started shaking. Everything started spinning around. I started being really scared, and all of these things happened that I just had no reasonable explanation how anything of all of these could have happened, because there was literally nothing. I know that we as a human eyes, we are not really able to see that much stuff, so maybe there was something under the bed, and it also just raised me up. Like, I started understanding like this stuff are serious. Something is there, and something is trying to warn me about all of these. So I was like, okay, look, I understand that. Since then, I just haven't looked under my bed. Also, what happened, I would say from now, maybe a week ago. What happened from now, like a week ago? Let's say it that way. So what happened from now, like a week ago, is that I talked to Spirit. I said this app I've used, I kinda trust it, I kinda don't. So yeah. Um, the thing is, that happened, and I talked to that Spirit, and all of that, but it wasn't like really like strong nor really long conversation. About like 10 minutes, but usually I give it a time like 30 minutes to an hour. So from 3 a.m. until 4. But like right now was also like somewhere like 3, and it just didn't talk that much, and I was like, okay, like it's understandable you don't have energy, or just you're not interested to talk, so it's okay, I understand. And then I said goodbye because I didn't want that to stay in my room or this home in general. And I said goodbye and all, and I just just turned off the app and my phone and all together, and from nowhere, literally from nowhere, I heard the knocking on my window. And I knew like I just don't wanna turn around, because there is either something that wants my attention and play with me or something. Now you can explain it, it is human being, but it is not. The reason it is not a human being is because we have a fence, then we have like space, and then we have a window of my room. So it cannot be a human being, because also we have dogs outside, so it cannot, nobody can, come into the room, not in the room, into the how it is called, the garden. So then I was like really weirded out, and I tried to knock on my window to just try to replicate it. The weird thing about this is I wasn't able. It was like deep knock. The also thing is I haven't opened my window because I didn't want anything negative or just anything in general to come in. So if you ever hear knocking or something, never open your window or door in that time. So yeah, and I haven't opened it, and yeah, sorry, I just kinda, so I'm kind of watching this when it plays, so I went out of focus. And I just ignored it, and I was just feeling like unsafe. I just I was just really, I cannot explain that feeling, but like feeling of being watched, like really unsure, really scared, really, those feelings. And as said, I tried to replicate it out, but I just wasn't being able to. And altogether it worried me so much, and it was like a deep knock. And whenever I would try to do that knock on my window, or I tried around the window, I tried everywhere, I just cannot replicate it. I can only make a higher pitch, a higher pitch. If, does it make any sense? Like a higher pitch knock. I hope it makes any sense. If not, yeah, I don't know what to say. And all of these things that have happened, um, I really don't have much explanation, and I always tried to do a video about this, but I truly, to be honest with you guys, I truly never had an untrue like story and way I can tell you this. I always tried, but there is a thing that I always forget some part, and that story would never ever be like completed. And you know, if you miss one part that could explain everything, it is kind of just no point of making the story. But yeah, there is also one last part that I wanna mention is also before I had this talk with the spirit. That was last year, so I said maybe now even like a month ago. In my room, I've heard a clock. You know how clock is ticking, but this was like modern version of clock ticking like really really fast. And I was like, I started questioning everything because as far as I remember, there is no like clock in my room beside my phone, but my phone would never do such a thing, and I even looked at it, and it just wasn't. Also, my apps and my phone, sorry, my TV or anything, it ain't hacked, and and I never went to those websites where I could have a virus or something. So just to mention it, to put it aside. So I just went through everything of this, and I just looked online, like what could be like this thing that I'm hearing. So it said like it can be something in your ear or in your brain that you're just imagining it and all, and especially some problems with your ear. The thing is, like a week before that, I went to the doctor because I wasn't like really feeling well for some time. So I went to the doctor and he checked my ears, and he said like I'm just completely fine with my ears, so there is no specific problem with them, and I'm not like having any damage or anything. So I looked it online and it said it could be said something in your ear, problem with your ear or something similar. So I just put it aside like, yeah, it is not my ear. Let's move it forward. Then it said it might have been some pipes in your like walls or something, especially in like actually I hope I am recording my voice because if I'm not, this is a pointless. So basically, there could be some pipes of like water or anything in your like walls or something. So I went to my dad and just talked to him like, is there anything? But like, it's also kind of weird. Why would I have something like that in my room? Because this is like room and they all like about water stuff we have on the other side of the house. So I talked to him and he said no. As far as he remember, no, but also it doesn't make any sense to have because this is a room and everything about connected to water is just on the other side. So I was like, okay, that truly makes sense. So I understand that. And so I crossed that of the line, and the last thing that said it can be haunted. So I just gathered up my courage. It said like it can be a spirit at all, and I gathered up my courage and everything, and I started talking to that spirit or anything, and I said like listen, and then I said some stuff I don't really remember, and I just said like leave this home, like you don't need to do it, like we can call a priest, we can do it all this, and for a millisecond it stopped. But it just continued. Like it was trying to just to annoy me. So Also, what I forgot to mention before that, like this was second time that happened, but the first time it happened was like 6 months ago from now. So what happened then is also I talked to my dad and he was really worried about all of this and we never find a true explanation about all of this. So this time as well, I talked to him. I sat down and we talked, and he came into the room and he couldn't hear it. It was only me. I talked to my mom as well. Goes for her that she couldn't hear it either. So we always try to find an untrue and or just honest explanation. Just let's not jump to conclusions, but we never were able to. And what happened is, okay, maybe look, maybe I just was awake for too long time. Maybe I'm just awake for longer than I'm asleep. So maybe I'm just like hallucinating or some things like that. So let's just put it aside. Maybe I'm just like I said, hallucinating and all. Let's put it aside. So I went to sleep, and the other day it happened again. And I again went to my dad and like asked him like, "Are you sure there are nothing in like walls or something, like no animal or anything?" But again, you cannot really explain it by knocking, like ticking a clock, knocking something between that. Like you cannot really explain it that it can be any of those. And that day I slept kind of well, so I had fair enough in between my sleep and like how much I was awake. So I wasn't awake for too long, nor being tired or anything. So I talked to him. He came again in the room. He couldn't hear anything. I went to my mom. I talked to her and called her to come in the room. She couldn't hear anything either. So I just the time like I was talking to my dad, I I watched something on my phone and I just put the pause on it. So I just put that pause on it so I can talk to him in peace and all together. There are no noises or anything, so he can hear it well. My phone turned on by itself. It started talking, and I was like, okay, look, maybe it's some kind of glitch. It happened like 10 times in a row. Even if I even if I just make sure that I play the video and just pause it or anything, it just played again. It just played on its own. And I was like really furious. And we just looked at each other and like I don't know what could it be. And as mentioned, I don't have any clock in my room, so that's why everything was questionable. So I still cannot explain it. And what I also read that means my time is ticking, that I may not be alive for a long time, but I think by now I shouldn't be alive, so that is also a questionable thing to say. So I just cannot explain that. And I went to sleep. I lay down on my bed and like, okay, I understand it's just me imagining it. And how I went to sleep, like, also what I wanted to mention is whenever someone would come into the room or make any noise, it would just went quiet. It would just went quiet like nothing ever happened. It would just went straight up quiet for a few seconds like nothing ever happened, and that's basically all. So also I just could not understand it, so I laid down and it would mostly start like happening when I would lay down. So yeah, and it started doing the same thing, and I just ignore it. Like I talk to myself, like if you just ignore it, maybe it would stop. The thing what started happening is it started just like trying to annoy me. It started to being louder and louder, and I just said stop it, like be quiet. I don't care about you. I just don't want to hear about of you anymore, and all of those stuff. And the thing is, it just didn't listen. It just started being more, and even more louder. And I started being concerned about everything. And now, when I went with my mom into the walk, it was 21, so that is 9 p.m. So it is dark. And we went there, and I, I stood at the crossroad, and we went to the left, middle, and the right side. And on each side, I took 3 pictures just to prove that if any spirit is there. I think I will post the. I think I will post the pictures right now. So if any of you want to take pictures, brighten them up, or to see anything, feel free to do so. So the thing is, when I started taking those pictures, I just like my flashlight, my flash when you take pictures on your phone, it just didn't work. It did take it, but everything it was also hard to focus, but also it wasn't being able to do anything. Like literally, it wasn't being able to do anything, and as you can see on pictures, it is like really dark, and you can see the ground just in front of me. And I always try to focus to put it upwards so you can see like everything surrounding stuff. And I just stood there and just said like, if there are any like spirits and all, if they want to prove themselves that they are real, that we should believe in them, especially me, that they had time for like 10 minutes or so. I don't know how for how long we were there. I told it like that they should try it, but all of the sudden branches started breaking, strong winds started, some noises you could hear in the background. I didn't record it, unfortunately, because I needed to use my flashlight of the phone, so yeah. And all of that. So we went to each side, and I tried to look at the pictures. I could not see anything, but okay, I will just tell you later this. And all, and I also counted each time from 3 to 0, or just say it now when I would take a picture. So if there was anything, it should have show itself. So we went to the left side, nothing really special. So yeah, then we went to the straight, to the middle one, and I took a picture on the left side. So basically, I would just stand in the middle. I would turn to the left side, to the middle, and to the right side on each of these 3, and that way I would maybe there is something like around me, so I can take a picture of it. And I did. And when we went to the middle one, I just took a picture on the left, and I really heard something like moving next to me, and I started panicking, and I took pictures 2 times on the left side. And when I did it, it still made a noise. So I turned around to do it in the middle. It started being louder. I turned to the right. I still heard it, and I talked to my mom, and she said like she heard it on the different part. And then we went to the right side and all together, and I took their pictures, and I heard nothing. But also we had our dog to go with us, so it couldn't be any human being or anything there. And he really looked like skeptic, like really scared, like seems like he didn't really want to go with us. And he was happy to go, but he didn't want to go as usual that far away from us, which was also kind of scary. he always stick the next to us, and he was always like drowning. Does that make any sense? You know how they make those noises? He always sound like mad. He always sound like someone is next to us and all together. So so yeah, and after all of that, I told my mom to cross and to just said that it cannot follow us home because just because I invited it, so I don't want her to be a part of it, so it could follow her or something. And as said, I said it, I did it, and what happened then is I went again by myself and stood in the middle, and I crossed my. I think it's called cross. You know when you say amen and all those stuff, and I just started saying like in the name of Jesus, God, and all together that it's time to leave, it's time to go, it's time just to never follow us. We have never done anything bad, especially if it wants to follow me. It is time to leave at least my parents alone. And the thing that happened is really scared me. We have a Jesus in our cemetery or graveyard, however you call it. And what happened is all of the sudden flesh like a light. You know when you turn on the flashlight, you know how it is going like in some kind of triangle. You know how it the light is going all of the sudden from it outside. All of the sudden it happened and it went from the graveyard. Mind you, it's 21 or 9 p.m., however you wanna say it. There was no human beings around. I could not explain it. I just ran for it. I told my mom, let's just run home. Let's just go home. Now, could it be the God Jesus himself showed himself there to protect us? It could. Uh, I really don't have an explanation for it. I just know that I was scared. I ran for my life. I started crying and all together. So yeah. Also, the main reason I went there is that because I was outside and in our garden, and the thing that happened is I just looked at one specific spot, like not like specific, but I just looked at there, and what I saw is like some kind of woman standing there and looking like in nothingness. She seemed like she was wearing like a white dress. She had something. I couldn't. I just saw her upper body. Could it be like dress? It could, but still it's questionable altogether. So yeah, and that's why we went into that walk to get rid of everything, and now all energy in home, all energy in house altogether seems more positive, and I'm really happy for it. I am sharing this story and everything with you because I hope that all of you have an explanation. And before I end it all, before I end this video, I want to say one more thing, and that really scared me the most is that said that he's seeing some kind of man outside of my mom's window. Uh, let's put jokes aside, she's not cheating or anything, she's not that kind of woman. Um, but it really makes sense with everything, with knocking. Same goes for her room. Her room is next to me, so you cannot go in between, so you can knock or anything or show yourself. Um, it goes well with my story where I said knocking. It makes sense altogether. Also, it makes sense with when she saw my face in her room, and altogether I think we had some shapeshifter But the question after all is, what was that light in the grave in cemetery and all together? I have no explanation, but the main reason I did this video is to share it with you all, but as well because when I was taking pictures and all, I came home and I looked at all of it, and the thing that happened is I found a picture that I didn't take. It was me standing just still. It has no of my face. It just had a picture of my slippers and ground. I didn't take that picture. I literally did not take that picture. I literally did. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't open camera at that point of time. I didn't look down. I didn't took that picture. It has no explanation, but yeah, it's up to you to judge. So yeah, whoever watched to the end, thank you so much. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.